Hi there, my name is Graham Codrington from the team at TomorrowToday Global. We're a group of futurists that tries to look at future trends, disruptive forces, anticipating how the world might change, and then helping our clients to prepare for it today. Not medical experts, but scenario planners. And for this whole year, we've obviously been focused on COVID and the impact that COVID will have on many different industries and our clients all around the world. As we head into December 2020, here's a quick update from our team on the vaccine news that has been doing the rounds for the last few weeks. It's great news that we have vaccines available. It's great news that the vaccine researchers have discovered brand new ways of delivering vaccines to our system. I think we're going to look back in a few years' time and realize that the effort and energy put into finding a COVID vaccine has also unlocked some secrets for vaccines for other diseases. And from what I can see, this RNA vaccine has now unlocked some thinking that will be applied very soon to cancer. So there's all sorts of good news in terms of how quickly and how effectively we've been able to produce viable vaccine candidates for COVID that will have even a bigger effect than just a COVID response. However, and this is the point of this video, is it's not quite as good news as it sounds. So as I record this on the 1st of December, let's have a look at the three big vaccine news items that came out during November. Number one, Pfizer came out first 3 weeks ago. And their vaccine certainly looks like a great candidate. It's got one final step to go through in terms of testing and then hopefully rushed approval if that final review of their tests passes. And we still don't know that yet. They were saying that they were hoping to have approval by now, and they haven't had it yet. So there's a little question mark. However, even if the Pfizer vaccine is proved to be effective, and it's given a green light for quick approval by the FDA in the United States, there's still some issues with it. It has to be stored and transported at minus 70 degrees Celsius. That's minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit. That's quite cold. And that means you need specialized equipment to store and transport it. Most pharmacies don't have that equipment, so this would be only available via hospitals and very specialized medical personnel. It also costs around $38 per dose, and you need 2 doses. So that might not sound like an issue in the United States, but it's certainly an issue for a vast chunk of the world's population. How do we manufacture enough of that vaccine? How do we then transport it internationally? How do people afford it in the poorer parts of the world? Don't forget, you can't just say, well, we're going to sort out the rich countries and let the poor countries hope for the best. Because that's not how a global pandemic works. We need everybody to have access to this vaccine. So maybe the Pfizer one is not quite the solution that we were hoping for. Okay, so then you had the Moderna vaccine, which was talked about 2 weeks ago. Just about the same level of effectiveness in those third stage trials as Pfizer. But again, they're in the same situation. They've got to go through that final round of reviews. Then they've still got to go to the FDA. Their vaccine can be stored and transported at more reasonable temperatures. Still needs a little bit of specialist equipment, but is a lot easier to transport and comes in at just less than $20 a dose. So that's looking more of a candidate, but from what I can see, it's a little bit harder to manufacture, might not be able to be produced at the same volumes that maybe the Pfizer one could. So maybe that's also still not a solution for the globe. A week ago, AstraZeneca told us that they had a better solution, pretty much stored at room temperature, or not room temperature, sorry, at sort of 0 degrees, but fairly easy to keep cool, and coming in at about $2 a dose. This one sounded like the one that could be transported around the world. We're very excited. Certainly here in South Africa, I was quite excited because a local university was part of the AstraZeneca trials, linked with Oxford University. That looked like a much more viable alternative, but I'm speaking in the past tense because in the last day or two, AstraZeneca have withdrawn their initial statement, saying they believe they need one more round, full round of testing, which will take another few months. Look, by the time you watch this video, all of this information might have changed anyway. That's part of the point of this video, is right now we are responding basically to CEOs of these companies sending out press releases, rather than waiting for the chief researchers or the chief medical officers to release the peer-reviewed versions of the tests. We fully understand why this is happening. I'm not trying to criticize the companies for putting out statements early, except maybe we might discover that there's some interesting timing related to end of quarter results and shareholder returns. But anyway, let me not cast aspersions where none are required. We're just excited as a global population to get news of vaccines, but we need to temper that news. We need to temper that news in 3 ways. First of all, we need to make sure that when we get vaccine news, it's a proper end of trial, near approval news, rather than just a news report of progress. I mean, progress is worth reporting on, but we need to know what we're getting. Is it a progress report or is it a production report? And right now there are no vaccines in production. The second thing that we need to understand is even when a vaccine is approved, at that point, do you then only start the production and then the distribution of it? And that is still going to take a number of months. Even in a best case scenario, we're unlikely to see vaccines coming into the general population of the United States or the UK, where these vaccines are located. We're unlikely to see those before Q2 of 2021. And when you'll get it in India and South Africa and Brazil, well, it will only be best case scenario towards the end of 2021. The third issue, you might be ahead of me on this, is we've still got to convince people to take this vaccine. There is so much negative news about vaccines in the world at the moment. Some crazy conspiracy theories like Bill Gates putting microchips and QR codes into the vaccines, which, by the way, is technically, literally impossible. So that can't happen. But people are a little bit nervous. People in Africa are rightly nervous because we know for sure that vaccines have been trialed on Africans without their consent or knowledge in the past, and has really messed up certain people, because if a vaccine goes wrong, it really messes up your system. So there's, even if you're not a conspiracy theorist, there's still some alarm about vaccines. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm very comfortable to be amongst the first to take a vaccine, but I fully understand some people who would much rather watch somebody like me at least for 2 weeks after I take the initial vaccine, maybe for a month, to see whether there are any side effects of that vaccine. And then there's going to be a significant chunk of people who are going to want to wait quite a lot longer than that, just to double check that this vaccine is effective. We've had a polio vaccine for a few decades before everybody in the world has taken the polio vaccine, and we can now say and declare that the world is now polio free. In Africa, the polio free certification only came a few weeks ago, and that's after decades of having a polio vaccine and cure. The bottom line is this, and this is the point of this video, and I apologize, it's not a good news video, is that even in the best case scenario, we are unlikely to have an effective vaccine through 2021, because maybe the vaccines that have been talked about now are not effective. Even if they are, it's going to be difficult to manufacture them at scale, distribute them around the world, and get everybody to take them. And even if we could do that, not everybody is going to take them, and then the effectiveness of a vaccine is minimal anyway. Bottom line is this. you have to plan for 2021 without vaccines. If some kind of miracle happens and we get a vaccine earlier than that, you might get a vaccine that's effective and starts to make a difference in our communities, which allows governments to change their policies and their regulations towards the end of the third quarter, early fourth quarter 2021. That's the best case scenario. You've got to plan for reality, which is no effective vaccine, and therefore no regulatory change, no policy changes because of a potential vaccine. So yes, we want to hear good news. We hope there's good news. We wish the vaccine manufacturers and researchers all the very best. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I really hope that they have discovered some fantastic vaccines and that they move these vaccines as quickly through the system as they can. And I will put my hand up to take them as soon as they are available. But it's still not going to have effect anytime during 2021. You've got to make your decisions, your plans, your thinking around 2021 with that bit of reality in your mind. If you'd like more information on thinking about the future, on dealing with disruption, well, make sure that you contact the Tomorrow Today team. As I say, we're not here to give medical advice, so don't ask us about vaccines and vaccine effectiveness. But what we do is we help companies like yours, we help people just like you to think realistically about future scenarios, to plan for disruption, anticipate deep disruptive change in the future, and then prepare for what you might do today. Contact us and our team at TomorrowTodayGlobal.com. We'd love to help you to deal with whatever comes our way in 2021.